Hey there, Weavers. Just a heads up, a little disclaimer before we get this one started. This next arc, but particularly this episode, focuses on the Undying Empire. And we will be building in character an Imperial city, meaning that we are the bad guys. So there are some content warnings coming up, most of them related to war crimes, oppression, undeath, murder, violence, and all sorts of things. It is done in a sort of goofy tongue in cheek way. But if that is not the kind of content you want to listen to, you might sit this one out. Thanks. Game Woman is now proudly part of the One Shot Network. Check out other great podcasts at oneshotpodcast.com.
Before we go much further, there is one thing I think it prudent to clear up on the subject of the Emperor's renewal. Now, I recognize that many amongst us are, in the grand scheme of things, rather new to our fine city. The last little while has been something of a whirlwind of folks a coming and a going, which is why I find it important for posterity to see that the accounts of those first 2 years be as accurate as possible. A lot happened in a short time to our mortal minds, and thus it is only natural that at times certain misconceptions arise about certain processes that, in the light of the perpetual glory of the Undying Emperor, we could do with viewing with a little less fear and a little bit more gratitude. So, was this land renewed? Well, of course it was. Recall, when I first set foot here, I saw nothing but potential. The work of my city planning department, the construction of buildings and roads, the excavation of the mines, even the bringing in and sending out of imperial subjects, all these things are the Emperor's renewal. Pay no mind to the fabulists and the sower of doubts amongst you, for they bring only disquiet to loyal hearts. And, perhaps, if they persist in their fabulation and sowing of disquiet, a word to the constabulary might bring you some peace of mind. The Emperor's renewal is a thing to be celebrated, not feared, for it keeps us loyal citizens of the Undying Emperor safe and brings us his peace everlasting. Now, where was I? Oh yes, the beginning of the second year. Delvers, under the direction of Servitaris, made steady progress in relieving the cliffside of its mineral wealth, especially with the aid of ancient passages made in a bygone era, once a few backward savages were removed. And it was in that meeting that I was at last informed of the true purpose bequeathed to us by His August Majesty, the Emperor Undying. We had 1 year to make that bird go. Now, there are many things to which I wish to credit my fellow counselors. Lupin Magmala was instrumental in ensuring the peace and loyalty necessary for the Emperor's renewal to be a success. My close personal friend Servitaris, damn near my right hand in these matters, spearheaded the construction of the scaffold that aided in the removal of the skeleton of that giant, beautiful bird. Oh, and of course, those of you who were here for that season will remember the fun we had carving out rocks and bringing them to the stadium, tossing them in effigies of visiting teams and yelling "Go Birds." Old Levitt proposed the Cathedral of Bone, a reminder of to whom we all offer and owe our bodies and souls. And of course, perhaps most importantly of all, and for precisely that transcendently glorious reason I'm sure comes to the top of your mind, it was Clarissa LaFleur who proposed the construction of our very own blood fountain, the first of the arcane siphons which power the... but I get ahead of myself. Needless to say, we would not be where we are today without that fountain.
3 months later.
I'm back from hunting.
Did you get anything?
Well-
You were gone for 3 months.
I've decimated the ecosystem.
Good God, you're like a cat.
We still got 90% of it left. That's wonderful. Wonderful news.
You know, I would have almost expected you to be more thorough, but
We're a single.
It's kept us the alchemists busy, so I mean.
For a single
I haven't
individual,
had
I think
much
decimation is
need to
very
protest.
impressive. Anyway, we all
How many
have
times
this-
did you level up while you were out there grinding? Anyway.
only
Well, see-
once. I'm on milestone.
Oh.
That was quick, Rob. Ooh, that was really good.
That was really good.
That's stinging.
Do we get a complication at 6 months?
Hmm.
yeah, should
At the end of every round,
Oh yes. So that means we vote on who was the most contentious. Everyone type
who caused the most discord?
the
During
most
this round.
discord, other than Discord
Ooh.
itself. Type in your answer.
This one's harder than it has been, to be fair.
Everyone got a whole lot meaner this go around. The shift cards must have been really nasty.
They just say get meaner.
Try to be the bad guy. Honestly, it would be very funny to have a game where all the shift cards are you need to be the bad guy now, but everyone thinks they're the bad guy.
Yeah. We're all the werewolf?
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, Zad wins it by a lot.
Wow.
4 for Zad, 1 for Bree.
I'm flattered that I got a vote. I appreciate it. Although I think it's mostly just because your character hated the idea the most.
No, it was mostly the social. Like, the proposals, definitely Zad was the most discordant. but-
there.
Oh yeah, true.
I will admit I was gonna be meaner, but every time I went to say an insult, someone else interjected, and the moment was lost.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's
Oh.
meaner.
I'm not the meanest anymore.
It honestly, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm starting to see Administratix third class Lovitas Bonaventura's value here. He's the most stable person.
Administrators live in La Vida Loca.
Like, honestly, I feel like I was almost diplomatic.
I
for my-
no, kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What news have we?
Counselors, I'm going to get right down to business. There's a stranger in our midst. Now, first of all, I did recently take some time on my way from the bar out to the stadium. I did take a little bit of time and passed by the cathedral. It's a wonderful cathedral. It's big. It's beautiful. It is the embodiment of the glory of the undying emperor. And of course, this is the place where I first saw him. He seemed to be a gentleman of refinement, somebody that did not quite fit amongst the common laborers. Carrying with him something of even underneath a thick cloak and a hat drawn low over his eyes, there was something that was, well, I say damn near incandescent about this individual that I saw, as he beheld the glory of the undying emperor as reflected within the Cathedral of Bones. Now, I did not myself have time to speak to this gentleman, but stories are beginning to emerge of this stranger casting about the town at all hours of the night and speaking to people. Do I know of his intentions or what it is that he does? Well, no, I can't say that can't say that I do. I do believe that perhaps it is cause for some measure of concern, but perhaps that is best left to the constabulary, as we, of course, have larger problems. The consolidation of the bones.
What is the nature of the preaching? Why would this be cause for concern?
The nature of the preaching is that of greatness, of an incandescent glory, as near as I can tell, of the consolidation, the gathering together of many parts into one greater whole, which is, of course, not unlike the project that faces us in the consolidation of all of these bones.
what is the undying emperor's purpose but to do such a thing with the lands of this world?
True. And that's why I say that perhaps he is not our chief concern. This stranger that has come amongst us, this somehow glowing man. However, I do believe that it is a figure of note, in no small part because no person of much repute, to my experience, or anybody that I've talked to, has really had much to say of him.
Councilperson Chunkmale, do you not believe it possible you, having been so moved by the cathedral, may have seen in your own way a vision of the glorious Undying Emperor? You
Oh,
so
well,
moved
perhaps.
with the spirit of the Empire? It is not unknown that sometimes those so inspired by his glory and absolute power over this world, that sometimes we are inspired and see things which only the Emperor could explain in his more ascended glory and wisdom.
Yes, of course. And Administratrix third class.
Lovitas Bonaventure, I've got you.
Administratrix third class, Lovitas Bonaventure, I do believe that is one possible interpretation. To have been potentially blessed with some avatar, some personage of the Emperor himself, or some great teacher who comes to share his wisdom and his righteousness with us. That is truly a profound thing. That is, of course, my interpretation, and that is your interpretation, and that is clearly the correct interpretation. However, I do not know that it is the only interpretation that is pervading these streets. Unrest, perhaps not. Disquiet? Absolutely. Because there's a stranger in our midst.
Perhaps this is simply someone that was blessed and sent by the Emperor to ensure his people remain faithful as they should be. This could be a test for them. I don't see why it's of our concern. Leave it to the constabulary, the people who are to keep the people safe. We're just here to build the city.
I happen to agree. This is not necessarily something that we need to be concerned about.
Well, counselors, truly, I hope that you are right. But the fact of the matter is that disquiet is growing within our streets. And as we have sent people, as people have gone to find this figure, he is not somebody that you can find when you are looking for him. He merely appears, though of his own volition.
Well, perhaps one of us will happen to encounter him and we'll get more information. For now, we do have business to do. Is there anything else regarding the mysterious figure that you are perhaps coyly avoiding?
Now, you surprise me, sir. Have you ever known me to be coy? Or employ any sort of subtlety at all? I know counselors who use subtext, and I will tell you, right here and right now, that they are all cowards.
If you believe this is of concern, draft a report, give it to the constabulary, give it to the soldiers who remain. Allow them to deal with it while we see to the building of the city and the preparation of the skeleton to be sent to the capital city.
I do agree the reconsolidation and shipment of the bones is and ought to be our first and most important priority.
All right. Lupin Magmalo, hit me with it. Go big or go home, in the words of Administratrix Third Class Lovitas Bonaventure.
I was many hundreds of years younger when that quote was spoken. I would ask that you do not take it out of context.
You remember our Golden Lays, old friend?
I certainly remember my past, yes.
I don't know. I don't believe friend is the best word to be applied in this situation, though I wouldn't speak for the Extractics. Of course.
Hey, for anyone who hasn't put together what Zad was implying, I suggest you read the complications on the map.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, I know what's happening. I know what's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
I'm trying to foreshadow.
Oh no, it's no.
No, for
Us,
life.
and I'm pretty sure most of the listeners have caught on. But if the listeners haven't, the glowing man who is preaching unity, that's real bad for us.
I mean, how many glowing men do we know?
How many glowing men have we established in the canon of Game Woven?
That didn't die immediately.
Go back to our early episodes and find out.
It's like, where's Waldo? But
Yeah.
but an audio
Here,
book.
apparently.
To give you a hint, the character that we're foreshadowing is from Kingdom, which is from our second arc. So this is, early on in the show.
Hearts of Magic.
Hearts of Magic,
And
rather.
Kingdom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kingdom.
He showed up in Kingdom.
Yep. Hearts of Magic and Kingdom is where we meet this character.
It does spell a bad time for the characters, but as the player, I'm like, Clarissa don't give a shit. She doesn't care.
I love it here.
Tell the people who deal with that kind of problem to deal with the problem. We have a city to build.
Counselors. We still have the skeleton problem. No, not to beat dead horse. I was considering maybe once again enforcing martial law to get the bone bits back. But we saw how that went last time. So I'll let one of you figure that one out. Actually, no, I'm going to continue to beat dead horse. I am enforcing martial law to get the bird bones back.
You do have the soldiers.
Significantly less now. We go raiding door to door, collecting the bone.
Now that we have a more compliant populace, I actually see this working pretty decent.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just targeted at the bird bones. Eventually word will get out, and I'm sure people will surrender them willingly.
Offer amnesty.
Those who take too long get raided.
Absolutely.
Those who comply will be compensated for their compliance.
Seems perfectly fair to me. We do need to get this bird in the air.
Mm-hmm. Let's get that bird going.
I don't believe they're going to be sending any of the airships to collect this.
Did we just accidentally offhandedly establish that the Empire has airships? Because that's actually pretty fucking rad.
That's what I was about to ask.
Well,
Do we have
Yeah.
that?
Of course.
I would never accidentally establish airships. It is entirely on purpose.
Maybe there's not very many of them.
Well, I doubt that
Yeah.
any of the 5 airships could spare the time for this project.
Maybe that's why the Emperor wants the birds so bad.
What's better than 5
There are
airships?
many usables.
5 airships and a
6
giant skull
airships.
bird. Yeah, absolutely. Now you've all heard the stories about the delays of the constructions of the Super Excelsior, the new one, right? Like that's never mind. I'm wasting time talking about current events in this meeting.
Yes, well,
That one is actually just propaganda, you realize. The airships are real, the Excelsior it's not.
Oh
I
well,
thought
that
you
is
would know that.
well. Are you sure that
Anyway.
it's propaganda? But anyways,
What do we think about martial law? Right. Are we ready? Type your answer. 3, 2, 1, go. 3 yeses, 2 nos.
from Brian's ad.
So you get to ask your coworkers why it didn't work.
So for the second time, I tried to enforce martial law, and it seems to have not worked for some reason. I can't imagine why. Please inform me.
we made considerable progress. Much of the remaining pieces of the bird skeleton that are at large have been consolidated. I think that the amnesty offered to people who were holding it, that was an inspired move, again, and payment for the information leading to the uncovering of a piece of the bird skeleton. Yeah, we've made a lot of good progress. The problem is that we can't just get most of the bird skeleton. We have to get all of the bird skeleton. So I wouldn't say that you made no progress. I would say that this was, especially compared to your previous efforts, a rousing success. It is not complete.
I believe there may be some citizens who have been clever with how they hid the pieces of the bones, that are waiting for the price to go up for the reward before they hand it over. Might be a time to perhaps remind them of the cost of standing between the Empire and its goal.
Based on the reports I have received, it does appear that while most of the citizenry who had parts of the skeleton, albeit out of light of fancy or the novelty of it, does appear those who have the majority of the skull there seems to be a small cell within the city which is maybe a little fanatically devoted to its protection. I know I have been working on reading the reports from your soldiery, Councillor Magmello, and attempt to find this cell protecting the skull, but it has been a difficult thing to unpick at this time.
I think we probably have sufficient amount of the skull that it will be seen as acceptable to the Emperor.
You would give him anything less than everything he asked for. Are you truly willing to risk that?
If you recall the wise words of my bosom companion, Administratix Third Class Lovitus Bonaventure, who I always have to scroll up in order to read the entire name, it just needs to be ready to move. It doesn't matter if there's a little here or a little there missing.
Do you truly believe that this will actually be deemed a success if he doesn't get all of it?
It's a lot of bird. They might not even notice.
If you're willing to risk your life...
Are you trying to get me to sign my name to something accepting responsibility for the incomplete skeleton? Is that what we're trying to do? You can just come out with it.
I just wanted on the record that if there's fallout from this, I don't claim responsibility, and I wanted on the record that I am showing my skepticism in this.
I mean, if it goes poorly, we're all going to die anyway, regardless of whether or not you were a skeptic. So, I suppose duly noted.
I just don't want your laziness to be the cause for my death.
My quarter's clear.
Well, very well. Unless, Councillor Magmello, if there was anything else you would like to add as to your perspective on the current situation, I believe that will be all for this time.
It seems another issue at hand is that the stranger mentioned earlier is the one who helped them hide the bomb.
There it is.
Get forewarning somehow.
Well, Councilor Magmalo, I believe that your boys have a new target to look for.
Indeed. I'm sure we will all be keeping a close eye on how this situation develops.
Have the constabulary not been able to locate the stranger, then?
They have not. Like I said previously, he is not the sort of person that you can find when you're looking for him. In a very unfortunate turn of events, it seems that he is far more likely to find you.
Perhaps we need to send for some spies, then.
Perhaps.
If he seeks to move in the shadows, we can find some shadows of our own.
As a point of order, if you would like to put your efforts towards espionage, towards internal espionage within the city, that is well within your rights. However, to do so immediately would be speaking a bit out of turn. I'm sorry, I do believe there's an exhibition match this afternoon that I'm trying to get to. If we could be moving things along, please.
Yes, of course. I believe it's my proposal next, yes?
That is correct, Councilperson Vertaris.
Well, with the bird skeleton well on its way to being completely removed, this town needs something new to grace the cliffside. So, since our bar got converted into an apothecary and den of chemical indulgence, I say we put up a new grand tavern at the top of the cliff.
Well, to be clear, there's still bar, just also drug den in bar.
Oh, we're growing quickly, and this place is going to get quite massive now that news of how big Six Knives is has grown among the populace, a most loyal populace. People are going to travel. And honestly, I would like a bar that doesn't smell of chemicals. So, yes, I'll admit I have a bit of a personal interest in the matter. However, this will be good for the citizens and for the town.
Yes, let's put the place where everyone goes to get drunk up on a cliff.
Exactly.
I can't see
Imagine the
anything
view.
going wrong with that.
Imagine
What?
that view. What a beautiful view. You know, you can see all the way to.
The necromancers wake up in the morning and there they have. They're right next to the prison. You barely have to carry them.
Just have to repair them, but that's a fair enough point.
Well, the auspices of Viscount Dathari Hospital of the study of the body, with the advances in an anatomical medicine that have been performed there, it's just trivial, truly trivial. I think that this is a wonderful idea.
True, now that I think about it, it does decrease the amount of idiots that will live here. Population control, make them more useful.
Well, actually, that does raise a further issue. Could we maybe attach a brothel? If we are limiting the population of idiots, I do think that it might also be a good idea to replenish that population of idiots.
It's always been my experience that you don't need to necessarily build a council-sanctioned brothel. They just sort of happen. All you have to do is ignore them when they pop up.
Delightful, delightful.
If you wish for such establishments to appear within your city, is in fact, in this council person's experience, been most effective to simply outlaw the practice within the town, and that generally is all the motivation needed for such establishments to prop up like weeds.
Perfect. I love it. I'm, again, all for it.
Is anyone against us building a grand tavern? This is not a bar. This is not some hole in the wall. This is a real venue.
Indeed, simply a hole in a cliff.
You're right. We could carve it out of the cliff. We could call it the hole in the cliff.
A hole in the cliff. I love it. I love
Hole
it.
in the
Oh, I
cliff.
love everything about this. The hole in the cliff, the Grand Tavern.
The cliff hole.
Overlooking the stadium and everything.
I feel as though this proposal has gotten a little long. Could you please provide me the cliff notes?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, God. That's it. I immediately removed.
No, I don't really care for that. Go fuck yourself. This is me too, Rob. Fuck you.
I would like to dispute that joke. Officially dispute that reference. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
If a joke like that is made again, you will get shoved into the blood fountain.
You're going to get thrown off the cliff.
Out of the hole! Out of the hole in the cliff, the Grand Tavern.
All right. Are there any actual disputes to the grand tavern proposal? Perfect. Chalk another one up for me. And now, Croc, what say you?
Out of character. I have the dumbest idea imaginable.
Do it.
Sick. Let's go.
It's the last season. Big swings.
Now, counselors, we have been charged with the shipment of the giant bird skeleton to the undying emperor himself. We have consolidated most of the bones, and despite Sir Bertaris's confidence that even lacking few of the pieces, we will be within our mandate to not be killed. I lack that same kind of confidence. And so, what I would propose, as we are aware that the remaining pieces of the bones are within the jurisdiction of our city, We know this at the very least from the bits of divining that we have accomplished. Would not the simplest solution for bringing, as we have been required, the skeleton of this great bird to show the glory of the Undying Emperor and to maintain the integrity of the mandate, and also to bring to the world, quite frankly, to bring to the world the grandeur and the majesty of our Six Knives Stadium, the athletic housing, and the advances in medicine, might I propose that instead of having the rest of the world come here, what we do is we take ourselves to the rest of the world.
I don't see what you're going for.
Well, now I've been reading some of the text. I've been looking at some of the ideas that are out there, and we do have this. The blood siphon, the blood fountain siphon, is consolidating all the energies. Is consolidating all the energies from the Emperor's renewal. And if we could take those energies, and as the beautiful bird when we first saw it spread its wings and right near flew over this wonderful piece of land, what if we were to conspire as such that this piece of land were itself to fly? Now, we already know that the underneath this place is riddled with holes. It is already half dug out. So I say we complete that project. We dig it all out, dig a big old trench right around this city, and then we, bending the finest arcane arts that the Undying Empire can provide, we wholly and bodily lift our city out of the ground, and we fly it right into... We take our city, and we lift it right out of the ground, and we fly it to the city to deliver both the bones of this giant bird skeleton and also all of the fantastic and wonderful work that we have done here over the last 2 years to hand deliver personally to the Emperor himself all of the glory and majesty that we have created here by his order.
You wish to elevate this city above the city, twisting and wasting large amounts of power for your own grandeur.
Not for my grandeur. Never for my grandeur. I have done nothing for my personal glory. It is all, from the bottom of my heart, it is all for the glory of the Undying Emperor.
I thought you were just planning to animate the bird. We could just animate the bird.
That idea I could get behind.
We don't have the whole bird. Counselor, we do not have the whole bird. It is here. It's in places. It's here and there.
Do you mean to tell me that finding the rest of the bird and animating it is impossible, but lifting the entire city, no, that's the reasonable option. That's something a normal person would think is a thing that you can do. Powered by a singular blood fountain.
Well, obviously we're going to have to feed it a few more bodies.
I recommend we start with yours, and the intelligence of the town will increase significantly.
Listen, if we could take my ego and my imagination and convert it straight into arcane power, I could lift this place up by my goddamn self. But we can't. We have the capabilities, we have the energies, we've got the labor, we've got the manpower.
Perhaps if we had to attach to your face to a balloon.
The question, and that is out of line, counselor. Your barbs and your jabs, your doubts, and your... I am a duly appointed representative of the Undying Emperor, as are you. And I am trying to uplift this city. And there you sit, cutting me down at every possible opportunity and cutting down your fellow council members. What gives you the right? What gives you the agency? What gives you the authority
to do nothing but naysay and poo-poo all of the wonderful work that we are trying to do here.
Order. I would hear from the other council folk before we continue this argument.
By my authority as a representative of our emperor, I dispute this stupid fucking plan.
Seconded.
I also second.
Out of character. That's fucking so fun.
That was
Yeah.
so fun.
That is absolutely delightful. But the Eclipse says, like, your enthusiasm is admirable, but perhaps there are more helpful directions in which you can direct it to Councillor Chockwell. I believe you're clever enough to find a way to restore the rest of the bones, and then we can continue to build the city. But our primary focus is
wait,
to
hold
get
on.
the entire skeleton.
This is a solution, not a building. We can't dispute it, right?
I'm reading the complication disputes. It would be very funny if
Sorry, yes, you were trying to solve a complication, weren't you?
I am
Yeah.
trying to. I'm not doing a building. I'm trying to
Oh,
solve a complication.
Yes. Hold
By
the phone.
creating the most complication.
So complications might be hard to solve, but they're the spices that you need to do. During your turn, instead of making a building, you can ask the council if a complication has been solved. Bring your evidence, whatever stupid fucking ideas, apparently. Make the most convincing arguments at hand. So, as we've done before, this isn't something that can be disputed.
It has to be voted on.
No, you do it, and then we vote if it works.
Magmalo goes to arrest Chuckwalla. Because this is fucking insane. And that's when you all feel it. It's subtle at first. As everybody's chair you get that shot of a glass of water or wine or something sitting on the table that just kind of like starts to ripple. And then the rippling becomes a shake. As the entire, looking at the map, it's gonna be, let me put a circle on here. And we're gonna make this, we'll put this in blue, because we're...
It's up for the sky.
Yep.
I am not convinced this gets more than 3 inches off the ground. There is not enough
We are a
power.
hovering city.
We are vaguely levitating.
Sure. But we are off the ground. And it's gonna be...
Anyway, can we vote? Let's vote and discuss how this actually comes out.
If I can throw this quick button in, as we see that we get that shot of the glass with the liquid rumbling, as Magmalo starts arresting Chuckwalla.
No, he's going for kill. To be clear, he was going to rip your throat out with his teeth.
As the whole of this city starts to rise ever so slightly off of the ground, Chuckwalla looks at the assembled and says,
Yeah, you gotta think hard. These might be your last words.
"This might be my last words." Now, counselors, y'all know that old saying, go big or go home. I've never thought that one couldn't do both.
That actually is really good.
That is good.
That is
And also,
really
it's like,
good.
as we vote, we're just voting yes or no. Does this solve the specific
this solve the
problem you were
problem?
trying
Yeah.
to solve?
Correct.
And here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Game Woven. For this arc, we are starting with the game The City Planning Department, which was designed for the Wasaga Beach Game Jam in 2018 by Keelan Doyle Myerscough, Andrew Tran, Alex Dawson, William Wu, Paul Geldart, and Raul Altosar. This game also features the voices of Robbie Rowling, TT Benjamin, Zakiel Vasky Huff, Lex Olden, and Brianna Jean. You can follow us on social media at GameOven, support us at patreon.com/GameOven, or over on the One Shot Podcast Network.